Mega Man 9 was a resounding success, and it certainly got people excited for more classic Mega Man stuff, as well as renewing excitement for Mega Man X possibly making a return after the failures of that series, both financially and also critically. Looking at you, X7! But with a focus currently on the classic series, there was hype for a Mega Man 10, and fans wouldn't have to wait long as the game came out 2 years after Mega Man 9, only with some tweaks to the game mechanics. There's not nearly as interesting a development history with this game as there was with 9, but one interesting thing that was done was that composers from previous games actually were brought back to do a song each in Mega Man 10. So, without much to worry about, let's get into this one. Mega Man 10 actually opens by showing off the release dates of the previous numbered entries before adding into it with its own. The game opens with Roll returning home with Rush from doing errands.
There you are, Roll. Are you okay?
I don't know. I think I have a fever.
But then suddenly the screen cuts to black as it seems Roll is passed out.
I think Roll has come down with Robo Enza. From what I can tell, the virus only affects robots. You all need to be careful.
The game then goes into detail explaining that Robo Enza is a new illness that's caused robots to malfunction, and that it's a global epidemic. As a result, humans seem to be unable to do even simple tasks because, as Wally has taught us, humans are really lazy when they've got technology to do everything for them. But even worse is that, without robot assistance, a cure for Robo Enza can't be developed. A month later, things begin to get worse as suddenly the infected robots become violent in an attempt to take over the world. And at Dr. Light's lab... Help! Mega Man catches Dr. Wily's UFO, which was about to crash, that's an impressive feat. Wiley explains why he was crashing.
One of those infected robots went crazy and attacked me. I spent the last few days studying this Robo Enza. But even my genius was unable to find a cure. So I built a machine that would help me discover a key to developing a cure, but it was stolen by one of those demented robots. I beg you, you have to get my medicine-making machine back.
I suppose if we want to stop those robots, we'll have to help you.
Light's got a point there. Wiley may not be the most trustworthy guy, but if he's the only one who was working on a cure, they have to trust him, since it's not like Light's been making any kind of headway.
Leave it to me. I'll stop those robots, I'll find Dr. Wily's medicine-making machine, and then we can cure Roll and all the other robots.
As Mega Man leaves, however...
Proto Man!
I don't think you'll be able to do this alone.
I'd appreciate any help, Proto Man. Let's do this.
And so, that's the story for Mega Man 10. Beat the infected robots, get the parts to Dr. Wily's machine back, and hopefully find a cure for Robo Enza. Hopefully. One thing that sets this game apart from Mega Man 9, besides the ability to play as Proto Man without downloading him, is that you have 3 difficulty modes to choose from. There's Normal Mode, which is your standard Mega Man game, Easy Mode, which removes some enemies, covers some of the pits, and gives you more power-ups, and Hard Mode, which might as well be called Almost Impossible Mode, because it gave me no shortage of problems. Before I started the game, I decided to do a playthrough for each of the difficulty modes with a different character. Mega Man got Normal Mode, because he's Mega Man, and Proto Man got Easy Mode because playing as him in Mega Man 9 was actually rather difficult, so the two offset each other. But as for Hard Mode, well, there doesn't seem to be a third character. Who could I choose?
Who do you think?
Oh, right. Just like how Proto Man was DLC for Mega Man 9, in Mega Man 10, the player got to choose yet another playable character for DLC, Bass. So Bass gets Hard Mode, just to prove he's the strongest, and also because I figured he'd be easier, so it would balance just like with Proto Man. You'll see the results as we go through. Anyway, just like Mega Man 9, we have 8 Robot Masters to go after, and considering he's the easiest and probably most hated of this group, let's go after Sheepman first. Sheepman stage is pretty cool. It's a sort of computer cyberspace area, complete with one of the enemies being a mouse cursor that creates Microsoft Windows blocks that you have to either dodge or destroy. There are 2 gimmicks in this stage. The first is that there are these colored blocks. Stand on one of them, and all the blocks and spikes of the same color that are connected will flash, and then disappear after a few seconds. Sometimes these can hide goodies, but if you choose the wrong path, said goodies will either be lost or dropped onto spikes. The second one involves these treadmills. You have to run on them to generate power, and with these platforms, you need to keep them powered or else they'll drop, which can lead to your death. They also use these treadmills for the mini-boss, Octoball, which gets powered by the treadmills and you need to power it to hit it. Oh, and Sheepman's got Yoku blocks, because of course he does. Almost every Yoku block stage in this series is the one that belongs to the Electric Robot Master. While I'm here, allow me to explain the differences between the three heroes we have to choose from. Mega Man is the same as his appearance from Mega Man 9, which is to say he can run, jump, and shoot. That's about it. Proto Man is like the Mega Man from 5 onward. He can slide, and he can charge up his Buster, but he also takes twice as much damage as Mega Man does. He does have his Proto Shield, which protects him from projectiles whenever he jumps, as long as he doesn't shoot the Buster. And then there's Bass, who almost functions like he did when we got to play him last time, but with one key difference: no double jump. Instead, he gets to use Treble Boost to fly around, and he gets it right away rather than having to unlock it in the shop. Sheepman himself is pretty easy. He'll try to throw balls of lightning at you, but his main way of trying to hurt you is by jumping into the air and splitting into 4 clouds. The clouds will move and send lightning down in the order they moved, and when the 4th one strikes, Sheepman will reveal himself. I should also mention that the difficulty mode affects how the bosses work as well. On normal mode, Sheepman's clouds all have an extended current at the end, and the last cloud sends out a spark that goes both left and right. On easy mode, the lightning is a lot slower and the lightning only goes downward, so as long as you don't, say, stand right underneath one of them, you'll be fine. On hard mode, Sheepman's a bit trickier, since both the first and last lightning strikes create sparks, and every time Sheepman hops, he creates those sparks himself. Also, fun fact, Sheepman's design was inspired by the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which was also the basis for the movie Blade Runner, and what possibly inspired the Mareep line of Pokemon. For beating Sheepman, we get the Thunder Wool. Yeah, this one sucks. It creates a small, easily destroyable cloud that rises to the top of the screen, and after about a second or so of being there, becomes indestructible as it sends a lightning bolt down that can pierce through invincibility. The thing is, the arc of the cloud makes it easy for an enemy to just run into it and destroy it, taking minimal damage as a result. Moving on, if Pokemon type science has taught me anything, it's that electricity beats water, so next up is Pumpman. Yeah, this one's the water level, and it's got some annoying features to it. Not only do we have the return of Susie's from the original Mega Man, but now we have these Mets that'll shoot these purple balls that actually add ice physics to your movement, and the only way to get rid of them is to let them go away on their own. And they stick for a long time. The more you have on you, the more slippery the character you're playing as becomes. There are also 2 paths we can take, one of which leads to this annoying bubble section where the bubbles will trap you and try to send you into death spikes. And to make matters worse, there's a current, so even standing still in this area to get your bearings is impossible at times. This might be the second most annoying water level in the series. Yeah, second. You're still the worst, Aquaman! Pumpman himself can be quite annoying, but I found out while writing this that there's an easier way to fight him than what I was doing. Pumpman will put up his barrier, and then jump around before firing it. He actually jumps 1 to 3 times after creating the barrier and always alternates between low and high, and if you stand directly underneath him when he launches the bubbles of his shield, you'll actually be safe. That is if you're playing on normal. On easy, Pumpman only makes 4 bubbles for his shield instead of 8, and he'll only do a single high jump before he releases the shield, making him pretty easy. Hard mode is where he gets a bit tricky. He seems to jump at randomly different heights, and he also seems to aim his shield. Then again, with how I was fighting him originally, there didn't seem to be any real difference between normal and hard other than the bubbles feel more durable, and also sometimes he'll do this rather ridiculous maneuver of taking the handle on his head and throwing it at you like a boomerang. You may laugh, but it's actually pretty painful if you get hit, and it boomerangs back. It also deflects your shots, so that means trying to get free hits on him like this is easier said than done. The Thunder Wool on all difficulties gets rid of all the bubbles if the lightning hits them. Defeating Pumpman earns you the Water Shield. It works just like Pumpman used it. You surround yourself with 8 bubbles, and they damage enemies if the bubbles hit, meaning you get 8 shots with it for each use. but the bubbles only can take one hit before they pop. You can also send them flying in a spiraling attack if you press the attack button, making it fire differently than the other shields do. Continuing with the Pokemon signs, water beats fire, so our next target is Solar Man. His stage is a bit of a pain. He's got conveyor belts everywhere in addition to these tackle fire dispensers, which shoot out 4 tackle fires to the other dispensers in the group, and they can be pretty tricky to dodge if you're not careful. There's also insta-death lava, because it's a platformer. Of course there's insta-death lava. Then there's the mini-boss, Suzak and Phoenix, who are basically giant bird versions of Sheepman, and there are 2 of them. They go down pretty easily with the water shield, but you don't really need it, especially with Base being able to aim his shots. Solar Man himself would normally be a challenge, but the water shield just obliterates him. He'll jump around and try to toss the sun thing above his head to attack you, with easy making the sun start off really small, and hard making it start out really big. But the water shield just gets rid of all challenge with this guy, so yeah, pretty easy. Beating him gets you the Solar Blaze. It's a small projectile you shoot forward that stops short and then creates 2 waves of fire in opposite directions. Unlike the Thunderbolt, however, if an enemy hits the projectile, it actually sets it off early, which is pretty useful. As we continue with the Pokemon type science, it's time to take on Chillman. His stage is the Ice level. Joy. He's also got lots of shield attackers which Base can shoot the shields off of, leaving them exposed and causing them to run away if that happens. Chillman's gimmick involves these ice blocks. If you or an enemy jumps on one, or a projectile hits it, it'll crack. If it happens again, it breaks. And you better believe they're going to combine that with spikes and bottomless pits. Chillman himself is surprisingly easy, but don't underestimate him. His ice attack functions like Concrete Man's Concrete Shot attack did. He'll fire 2 of these shots, one towards the floor and one towards the ceiling, and when they hit the floor or ceiling, they'll create a bed of spikes. The spikes aren't instant death, but they can be annoying. The wall spikes can be shot down with 2 buster shots, but the floor ones need to be run into, unless you use the Solar Blaze, in which case they'll go down in one shot and damage Chillman himself. On easy mode, he'll only fire the ice attack once to the ground and is a bit slower, but on hard mode, he's not only faster, but he'll fire 3 spikes, with the 3rd aiming towards you. He'll also get a new attack on hard mode where he jumps into the air and launches 5 spikes, 2 at the wall and 3 at the ground, all spread out evenly. Beating him gets you the Chill Spike, which works like it did with Chillman. Sure, you can fire it at an enemy and freeze them, or you can fire it in their path on the ground or wall and they can run into it. The downside, however, is you can only have one of these on screen at a time. After you beat 4 Robot Masters with Mega Man or Proto Man, we get a cutscene in Light's lab where Roll is still sick.
Oh, it's you, Mega Man. Thanks to you, I was able to make a prototype cure.
Once we have all the pieces to the machine, we can start mass-producing the medicine. I think everything's going to be okay.
That's great news. I'll go back out there and get those missing pieces.
Before you go, Mega Man, are you sure you're not suffering any symptoms of Robo Enza?
No, I'm great. Use the medicine on those who really need it.
Well, if that's what you want.
Huh. Seems like Wiley might actually be turning a new leaf this time. Well, we've got 4 more robots to go, and sadly, we are out of elements, so Pokemon type science won't help us. Real-world science will, however, as our next target is Nitro Man. His stage music, much like Tornado Man's, was used in the trailer for the game. His stage itself is actually a cool little road area with these trucks that you can ride on. There are also these lights you can shoot to stop the trucks, which is pretty handy. Nitro Man's fight actually is the only one of the Robot Master fights in this game to feature the Robot Master coming in from away other than just dropping in, as Nitro Man rides in from the left side before he powers up. He likes to throw around these wheels and then transform into a motorcycle to run you over. Notably, on normal and hard, he's able to ride up the wall, but he stops moving if you use the Chill Spike to freeze him, and it actually resets his pattern. He does take extra damage if he runs into a spike on the ground, however, so that's important. Also on easy mode, he's much slower and can only throw 1 wheel along the ground, whereas on hard mode, he is quick man levels of fast. Beating him earns you the Wheel Cutter, which I sometimes erroneously call the Nitro Wheel, but that's not its name at all. The Wheel Cutter is interesting in that you can hold the fire button down and keep the wheel in front of you for no extra charge, and you can even use it to ride up walls. Next on the list is Commando Man, the living armory box. His stage is pretty much one giant desert. Operation Desert Storm, anyone? Well, this desert has mines that hide things below the quicksand, usually bad things. But that's not the major gimmick. No, that would be this thing. There are sandstorms in various rooms in the stage, and they can push you either backwards or forward. You can use the forward-pushing sandstorm to try to speedrun, but beware the enemies, especially these things that can pop out from the ground. Also, the sandstorm will hide the environment you're in, which includes death spikes and bottomless pits, so be careful. Not enemies though. Enemies you will see no matter what. As for Commando Man himself, he can be pretty difficult. He's a screen shaker just like Gutsman, but it'll only shake if he does high jumps. He'll also shoot these explosives that create an exploding shockwave. The shockwave can be pretty large and lethal as a result. On easy mode, he takes a little longer to attack, and on hard mode, he gains a new attack where he'll do a short hop and send a shockwave your way. Beating him earns you the Commando Bomb. You can fire it and change directions with it like the gyro attack, but you can change directions twice, and it creates a shockwave explosion. It's also the wall-destroying weapon of the group, so that's a thing. Next comes probably the best robot master in the game, Blade Man. His stage's major gimmick are these little seesaw platforms you have to jump back and forth across to make the thing go forward. And of course, they make you do so with spikes both above and below you. There's also Tri-Castle, the mini-boss. You have to destroy the 3 pairs of eyes on the castle, but I recommend taking out the tower eyes before the base eyes, or you won't see which cannon is going to fire when. Blade Man himself is actually rather easy. He'll jump around the stage and try to sling 3 blades at you at a time. Just like Pumpman, I didn't realize how easy his AI was until after I wrote these lines. On easy mode, not only does his jumps take longer, but he also loses a blade. And on hard mode, he actually has 5 blades instead of 3, and when on the ground, he does this lunging attack, which you can simply jump over. But since he likes to stick to the walls so much, Commando Bomb does a pretty good number on him, especially with the shockwaves. Beating him earns you the triple blade. Mega Man shoots 3 blades in an upward angle, but they change to a downward angle when he's in the air. And since each blade counts for its own damage, it's pretty useful, but a bit tricky to aim at times. Finally, we come to Strike Man, whose stage is all about sports! Strike Man's major gimmick are these soccer balls that you have to shoot to make rise, though some have spikes on the top that can hurt you if you land on them the wrong way. There's also the Keeper, who likes to sling soccer balls at you, as well as using his fists. He goes down pretty easily with some of the Robot Master weapons, or with base. Strike Man himself can be very predictable with how he bounces, alternating between short bounces and long ones. And he's invincible while bouncing, but the real danger is that baseball projectile he's throwing. It bounces around rather quickly, and it does more damage the more bounces it takes. It'll even home in on you when it bounces off the ceiling. On easy mode, the baseball slows down rather considerably, and there's a longer gap between attacks. And on hard mode, the attacks come much faster, and he has this attack where he jumps to the middle of the screen and spins around like a tornado, slinging baseballs everywhere. It is noteworthy, however, that he becomes dizzy once the attack ends, leaving him open to a bunch of shots. And yes, the triple blade just shreds through him. Beating Strike Man earns you the Rebound Striker, which is what the baseball thing Strike Man was throwing around was. It too becomes more powerful the more bounces it takes. After we beat all of the Robot Masters, Mega Man returns home, but quickly begins sneezing before he falls to the ground.
Mega Man, are you okay? Oh no, he's been infected by the virus.
Dr. Light, the medicine-making machine is gone. What should we do?
And just when things couldn't possibly get any worse...
Greetings, people of the world. I hope you're enjoying the effects of my little Robo Enza virus. If there are any robots who want the cure, all you have to do is come work for me. And don't think Mega Man is going to save you like he usually does. He's come down with a nice case of Robo Enza himself. Now you will finally see the true genius of Dr. Wiley. The world is mine.
I should have known this was Dr. Wiley's doing all along. I have to stop.
No, you're in no condition to do anything.
Just when all hope seems lost, Roll comes over to her brother.
Mega Man, use this.
I thought you took your medicine already.
I was saving it in case a really sick robot was brought in.
But Roll, you need it.
If I use it, I still can't stop Wiley. But if you use it, you can stop him.
Thank you, Roll. Sit tight. I'll stop Dr. Wiley and bring back enough medicine for everyone.
We're all counting on you, Mega Man.
Good luck.
Be careful out there.
And so we're off to Wiley's castle. It's notable that the cutscene, save for Wiley's announcement, doesn't occur when you play as Proto Man or Bass. Wily Stage 1 is actually really memorable. It starts off outside what appears to be the castle from the first game, but there's a boss door right at the start where you fight something called the Weapons Archive, which borrows the Thunder Beam, the Leaf Shield, and the Gemini Laser. Notably, the Leaf Shield Weapon Archive uses the same pattern as Woodman does. Then as you move further into the base, you have a split path, and then another split path after that. And then we come across the Weapons Archive again, this time using the Ring Boomerang, the Napalm Bomb, and the Flame Blast. Again, the Ring Boomerang uses the same pattern as Ring Man does, with the Flame Blast using the same pattern as Flame Man. And then we have more enemies to go through before we're going up against the final part of the Weapons Archive, this time loaded with the Slash Claw, the Ice Wave, and the Tornado Blow. The Tornado Blow uses Tornado Man's pattern again, and the Slash Claw almost follows Slash Man's pattern, only without the annoying tar attack. Interestingly enough, there's no reference to Mega Man and Bass in the archive, and it's theorized that each of the weapons used are based on the favorite weapons of the developers. It's also one of the cooler Wily boss ideas too, and I love how much fan service went into this game with all the references and such. After Wily Stage 1, both Proto Man and Bass have a cutscene.
Proto Man? Is that you?
Don't worry about me. I've caught that Robo Enza virus.
I'm not gonna leave you here. Here, use this. It's just a prototype, but...
I guess I owe you one now.
Ugh! Don't tell me I've caught this dang Robo Enza too! Treble! We gotta go teach that old kook a lesson he won't soon forget.
Wily Stage 2 is a bit of a pain on normal and especially on hard. There are conveyor belts everywhere, and there are also searchies that will reverse the belts. This especially becomes annoying when you want to get some of the goodies, like this extra life. And then there's this E-tank that's surrounded by chill blocks. Then after a rematch with Suzak and Phoenix, you have to deal with these crushers that are kinda like the ones in Dustman stage, only they come down at specific times, and there's very little room for error. On hard mode, some of the enemies can even be placed to knock you back so you get crushed. Then after a rematch with Octobulb, we have more chill blocks and annoying enemies, especially the Faraibon that come out of the bottomless pits that like to screw up your jumps. After a segment with more crushers, we finally come to the boss, Crab Puncher. Crab Puncher is an auto-scroll boss, kinda like the Guts tank was. You need to get on these platforms and hit its weak spot, its eyes. You can get rid of its claws, but the eyes are the thing you need to aim for. The easiest way to do this with them is through the Commando Bomb Shockwaves, or to hit both eyes at once with the Thunderwolf's Bolt. Not a hard boss, just a bit tedious. Thing is, this thing makes that fight easier said than done, as it will constantly try to punch you, or try to hit you with these bubbles. Eventually it goes down. Stage 3 is pretty much just a set of rooms without any real gimmicks, other than these two specific elevator rooms. You're lifted up automatically, and as you are, you need to step on these buttons to move you left or right in order to avoid getting impaled by spikes. Once you're at the top, a platform will form, and then you can move on. There's also an underwater section between the two where you have to jump on the seesaws from Blade Man stage, while fighting the shrimp from Pumpman's. And at the end of the stage is the Block Devil, which is like the Devil bosses decided to assimilate Pico Pico-kun from Mega Man 2. The boss will come out at a seemingly random order and create this giant cube with an eye in the center. It's weak to the Rebound Striker, and the higher the difficulty, the faster everything moves. It can go down pretty quickly, but you have to be careful while fighting the Block Devil, because it's got some sneaky techniques like shooting these lasers out of its eye, or, when it's unformed, making all the cubes that made its body jut out of the wall to hit you. Also on normal and hard, you can accidentally fall into the bottomless pit below. And finally, there's Wiley Stage 4. It's a long ladder climb up to the top of the room, which has a teleporter, and that teleporter leads to the boss rematch room. Same shtick as usual, beat all of them to move on. Interestingly, after you beat all the bosses on easy mode, you get a bunch of energy and ammo pickups that you can use or save in case you die to Wiley Machine 10, and yeah, let's talk about that thing. Wiley Machine 10 is apparently based on a pirate ship given the skull face and pirate hat. It'll shoot you with large missiles, but these missiles can be jumped on to try and reach the face so you can hit it with Solar Blaze. There are also these smaller missiles you have to watch out for too. The missiles come out quickly on hard mode, and rather slowly on easy mode. On normal, they'll come out at different speeds each time. After you beat the first phase, Phase 2 has the machine shooting these green balls at you that you have to avoid or block with the water shield, which is actually the weakness of this phase. It seems, however, that Wiley was aware of this because one of the phase's attacks involves creating a large wall of electricity that'll pierce through the shield. It also has an attack that will trap Mega Man in an electric barrier. Huh, that seems familiar for some reason. After that, however, Wiley flies off in his capsule, so it's on to Stage 5, which is, wow, that's... How far up is that thing? Still going? Okay, where are we? What the hell? We're in space?! Wiley, how much do you spend on these massive castles? And how did you get this to go into space with the Earth's rotation and all that? I'm surprised that's still stable. Anyway, Wiley Stage 5 is mostly just jumping around in low gravity while avoiding gabules and spikes. Also, there are some goodies that you can get in here before your fight with Wiley. The final battle against Wiley Capsule is rather easy, even on hard mode. There are two Wileys that will appear, one that looks really gray, and the other that looks normal. The normal looking Wiley takes damage from the attacks, while the gray one will attack you. The attacks in this fight can be rather easy to avoid, so all you need to do is equip the Chill Spike and shoot at the correct Wiley enough times to beat him. From here, the character we play as talks to Wiley.
I've got you now. Dr. Wiley? You've got a fever. Did you catch the Robo Enza virus too?
I'm a human, not a robot.
I've got to get you to a hospital.
And now another one of your schemes ends in failure. What's wrong with you? You've got a fever. I guess that's what they call poetic justice. I should just leave you here.
You just never give up with your half-brained plans for world domination. Something wrong with you? Oh, you've got a fever. How'd you end up catching Robo Enza?
Don't be ridiculous.
Well, see you around. Wow, that's a dick move, Base. That's your creator. Well, either way, the results are the same. A few days after being admitted to a hospital...
Oh no! Dr. Wiley's gone missing! Ooh, what's this?
And so Dr. Wiley leaves enough medicine to help cure all the robots in the world of Robo Enza. How nice of him. But if you think we're done with that, you'd be wrong, as we also have to deal with the special stages. Yeah, remember how the last game had bonus content, including Endless Mode and a stage where you could fight Fake Man? Well, those are also here too. The Endless stage isn't anything to talk about, but the special stages are as you get to fight Anchor, Punk, and Belade. Sorry, no Quint. I think something interesting to note, however, is that the stage layouts and songs actually take influence from the ones in each game. Here, listen. cool, right? And when you beat each of these stages for the first time, Mega Man can get the Mirror Buster, Screw Crusher, and Blade Cracker that he can use even in the story mode. So yeah, we're done with this game since there's not really anything else to talk about. Overall, Mega Man 10 is a pretty good game. It's not as good as Mega Man 9 was, but it's still a fun game in its own right. Having 3 different characters to play as and 3 different game modes is a lot of fun, and the stages are pretty decent. The weapons aren't quite as interesting, though there are some really good ones in this game. That being said, hard mode is practically insane to try and take on, and really should only be tried by the most hardcore of fans, considering it's almost as hard than Mega Man and Bass was. How I got through that twice, I will never know, but I was able to. So yeah, it's a good game, but there is room for improvement. With that done, we've got only one more game to go through. So join me back here tomorrow as we gear up for a game that was only released 1 year ago, Mega Man 11.
Bad memories make the worst dreams. A genius of my caliber needs sleep to keep his brain in gear. Wait. That research from my youth. Yes, now I'll show you light.